HoopSpaces. This is your host, Justin. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wizards Weekly. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the HoopSpaces channel. Tons of amazing content covering teams all across the NBA. If you're looking for something a little bit more Wizards specific, my channel at Point Wizards, go ahead, head over there, hit subscribe. Try to cover recaps of every game and some additional content as I can. But now let's talk about this Wizards in this past week that really wasn't. So coming into this week, I had the Wizards winning 1-3. Just based on the level of opponents, and they ended up going 1-3, ended up beating the Pistons, and then they lost to the 76ers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Sacramento Kings. Game of the week has to be, for me, the Sacramento Kings game. One, the pure fact that by the end of the game, you had Light the Beam chants in the arena in DC. Again, I don't know how as an owner you take pride in other teams coming in, buying more of your seats than your fans because you can't put a real product on the floor that's sustainably rootable for. But Ted Leonsis doesn't mind. He's sitting on the sideline rocking his chain. It's what it is. He'll take the ticket sales, I guess, but not something I would take a lot of pride in. That being said, the reason it's game of the week for me, the Wizards did show a good amount on offense. Kuz had a nice 33-point game. Bradley Beal was really on it. Johnny Davis had some good minutes. We'll talk about that later. But game of the week for me, they still got stomped, but you know it is what it is. It wasn't a great week for them overall. But if you want to see some solid offensive production, I'd say to go to that. Loss of the week has to be to Cleveland. I just really enjoyed the game that Evan Mobley played on offense and then shutting down KP and others on defense. No Jared Allen, no Kyle Kuzma. But at the same time, though, Evan Mobley was enough to really terrorize the Wizards on top of their horrible turnovers they had for the week. Now, in terms of the stats for the week, the big three did not really contribute enough. 55 points averaging for the week for the big three. Brad, the most consistent, the only one scoring over 20 points per game. That said, KP and Kuz only played 3 of the 4 games this past week. Both of them missed a game with injury. Kuz almost left the game early against Cleveland. Sacramento, because he stepped on the fan's foot on the Larry Davis style on the sideline of the court. Was able to come back and put up 33 points though. So that being said, it was not a great week. Brad, the standout of the three, shot 55% from the field, 47% from three, really getting his numbers up for the year. We talked about, Wizards Twitter, his three ball might have been gone, shooting 37% now from the 3-point line. So the first year in a while, he's had a high bounce, and that's about a 7% jump from last year. That's very encouraging to see. Other than that, though, Kristaps Porzingis, 16 points for the week, not really impressive. Really shot away from, really asserting himself in the games that the Wizards need. So that was kind of sad. And then Kyle Kuzma, in and out. He's been an interesting player to watch lately. If you look at like his shot selection, how he's managing injuries. He played against Sacramento with a limp. He gutted it through, but at the same time, though, it's like he's definitely visibly beaten up, but he's fighting through, and I appreciate seeing that. If you're going to go out on the court, you give it your all, and he's really giving it your all. That said, player of the week has to be my guy, Johnny Davis, out of Wisconsin. This is a guy that's gotten crapped on all year from Twitter, social media, and broadcasters just tearing him up, and unfairly so, man. He's just a guy. A lot of rookies need patience, man, and, as a new father coming in to the league as a rookie, amongst other things, a new system, uncomfortable playing style. He had a rough watch. First game against the Pistons, he was shook. He came back in his first game back from a long stint in the G League against the Pistons, showed a different level of confidence, assertiveness, willingness to really look for his own shot. I was really proud to watch him this week. 14 minutes. He put up 5 points on 5 shots per game, couple rebounds, defended his butt off, shot with confidence, had a little nice and one, I think, against Cleveland, where he landed on the stanchion and had a little flick at the wrist of the end. This is not the Johnny we saw at the beginning of the year. This is the Johnny I hope to see. I've seen at the beginning of the year, and I'm happy to see him now. If he ends up playing time with the Wizards to end the season because they're effectively out of the play-in push at a certain point, I'm cool with it. If not, let him stay in the G, keep building that confidence up. Whatever they're doing right now is working. In terms of the standings, play-in push is looking not so pushy right now. Sitting tied with the Pacers at 11th, 1.5 games back of the Bulls. Really hard to see, especially since it's supposed to be the easiest part of their schedule. Post All-Star break, second easiest in all the league. They're really not getting it done. And, I know they played playoff opponents this past week, but at the same time, though, that's the kind of team you have to beat if you want to make the playoffs, if not make noise in the playoffs. So, not a lot happening there. It looks like they're going to be, drafting in a lottery. Thankfully, I think they need the injection of talent more than they need a meaningless playoff push this year. That said, though, they were sitting between like 8th and 10th, I think, right now. So, we might start looking at prospects or something soon. But right now, that playoff push is not looking so, again, pushy. And maybe they should start brushing off some scouting reports if they haven't already. Yeah, in terms of the roster, only additional thing is that they signed Xavier Cooks, MVP out of the NBL out of Australia. And he got some minutes, few garbage time minutes against Sacramento. He had a really nice defensive possession where I think he switched between defending like 3 different guys and it effectively ended in a miss for the Kings. I really like that on offense. He wasn't that aggressive, for MVP guy who a little bit older, late 20s. I would like to see him, try to put a stamp somehow offensively, but maybe that's for another game. Tonight, the game against Sacramento, I really like just the way he moved, switching between defenders and covering and recovering. So that was encouraging signs to see. And again, towards the end of the season, if they're giving up really on their play and push, I'd like to see him get a lot more minutes. I'd like to see Johnny get more minutes and some guys really from the go to get more minutes. All in all, thank you for tuning again. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. No reason not to. Hit subscribe on the channel. Head over to @PointWizards. Hit subscribe on the channel. And we'll see you next week. Till next time.